Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy, 12 Kyle. Check this out. On this episode, we're going to talk about women. More specifically, we're going to talk about strong Black women and, some of the issues and things that women deal with. Of course, I will not be doing this episode alone because I'm not a woman. My guest is no stranger to the show. She's been on the show several times. Good friend of mine, seasoned woman, if you will. My homegirl, Trish. Trish is back in the building. Trish, what up?
Hey, y'all. How are you?
What's cracking?
I like that, seasoned.
Yeah. When you're a little up in age, we say seasoned.
Don't get cute. All right, so let's just leave it at seasoned.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Glad to have you back on here. Like I said, I wanted to talk about women and strong Black women, and I guess I'll start there. Like, to you, as far as women, I guess that you've encountered or maybe grew up with, who would you define as a strong Black woman to you? I mean, besides yourself.
Good comment. So my mom, I would say, the women in my family, most of the women in my family were strong Black, were strong Black women. My mother was definitely a strong Black woman, a strong Black Leo woman. Okay. Stubborn. Oh my goodness.
Gotta love the Leos.
I guess.
So what made your mom a strong, in your eyes? What made your mom a strong Black woman?
Her tenacity, her courage, her work ethic, her faith, several things like that.
Okay.
I always saw her work until she didn't work. When I was young, I would go to work with her. She worked for a pediatrician's office.
Okay.
She didn't do any hard labor, but, just her work ethic of getting up every day, going to work. Me as a young child, being able to see that, I'm sure instilled things in me that I needed to grow up and do the same.
Gotcha. So, with that being said, would you say that, like the old saying, did the apple fall far from the tree?
I did not fall far from the tree in certain aspects of being a strong woman. I consider myself a strong woman, and most people around me would consider me a strong woman. So, it can be misconstrued in certain ways, because I'm a person that loves really living my true self and being my true self. I don't fake who I am. If you know Trish and you've been friends with Trish, you're gonna get Trish every time you see Trish. So you'll always get me. You're not gonna get any copy of me or anything like that. So yeah. But sometimes people can take, because I am straightforward, I don't beat around the bush. If I have something to say, I'm not rude. Now you have to poke the bear for me to get to the point that you would think I'm rude. But I say what I need to say. I say it like it is. But I got that from my dad, honestly.
Okay.
I got that from my dad. My dad was straight up with it, But people tend to think that because of that, people tend to take me for mean. And I'm not mean. I can be mean, but everybody can be mean, So people that know me, they know that I'm not mean. I'm really loving, and I'm I can be a great friend. But I just say it like it is. I say things that people probably want to say but don't.
And you're a New Yorker too, so you're not gonna hold your tongue.
Exactly. I've heard that before. It's so funny. It's not that I forget I'm a New Yorker, but talking to people outside of New York, they will
Right.
often be like, "Oh yeah, you New York, you
Yeah.
are New York."
Cause y'all so aggressive. Y'all like, "Arr," you know what I'm saying? You're like,
Hey, and I'm like, what?
but I mean, it's in the water, I guess. I don't know. It's
This is what it is. But, if you live in New York,
you
it's
got to be that way.
all about where you came from. So if you live in New York, you can't be no wimp in New York.
Right. Right.
You gotta know how to, navigate the streets. And if you go into the city deep, you gotta know how to navigate a whole lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can see anything and everything on a given day in New York.
I'm sure, and people will smell. You know,
Right.
they will smell the fear on you if you got it.
Just like you say with tourists, we can automatically pick out a tourist in New York.
Oh,
And I live in the suburbs.
mm-hmm.
Still, I can pick out a tourist in New York.
Oh yeah, tourists in New York stick out like sore thumbs.
Yeah, if I know somebody that's close to me, that I know is coming to New York, and they want to navigate the city, I'm like, act like you from the city, look like
Right.
you from home.
Exactly. So growing up, did you have like any mentors, either like personally or professionally or both?
Female wise, the age gap between my parents and myself was large.
Okay.
My mom had me at an older age. And so I would say a lot of people thought that my parents were my grandparents.
Oh wow.
Growing up, like in high school and stuff like that. So my brothers and sisters were made my godparents, along with being my siblings. I had an older sister that I would say she always kept me around her. So I would say probably my older sister Joanne initially. I ended up going to the same college that she went to, things like that. So through the years, there were elderly women that I looked up to,
Mm-hmm.
another godparent. So yeah, there's, in people that I personally know, yes,
Okay.
there were mentors. Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk about, as we talk about, strong Black women, is when you talk about women, particularly Black women, in particular, sometimes they can be stuffed into these tropes or stereotypes, and I put them in like 4 different categories, and we're going to touch on each one. One, there's the sassy Black woman. Then there's the hypersexual Jezebel. And then there's the angry Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the strong Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about, and these tropes and stereotypes have been, how can I put this? They've been present for as long as we've been here, right?
Yeah.
Be it right or wrong.
Yeah.
So let's go to the sassy Black woman. What do you think about that when our sisters get that label, being sassy?
It's interesting because strong Black woman in general.
Mm-hmm.
I recently saw a clip on social media, and the Black women were saying, right, social media,
right.
Black women were saying how they don't like to be called strong Black women.
Mm-hmm.
Because that tends to be the first. I try to figure it out. Like, why wouldn't you want to be called a strong Black woman? I consider myself a strong Black woman. I wouldn't be offended by it. Mm-hmm. They were straight up offended by it. Like, why is it always that I gotta be a strong Black woman? I'm like, what is wrong with that? And so they just felt like, what I got from it is that they felt like that's the first thing that people go to. Like, mm-hmm. Oh, she's a strong Black woman. Like, and it's not even a reference to like Black power kind of thing. If mm-hmm. we call each other, African American Black women, call each other strong black women. That's one thing. Strong black woman. That's one thing. But for some reason, they were offended by outside calling us strong black women. And here's what I think. I think that it's because people tend to take us as angry because most black women are they can be aggressive or they say what they want. It is what it is. But that's because we've had to survive. You know what I mean? Things that other races or whatever haven't had to survive. So we had to figure it out. My generation, what are we? Generation X? X. We had to figure it out. This other generation that we talk about, Z, that's out right now, we're like, y'all are weak. We had to figure out and go through. Our parents didn't baby us. Our parents made sure that, if you had something that you had to go through, it's not they wouldn't help you or be there for you, but you had to figure it out. Mm-hmm. You had to make a way. So anyway, the sassy woman, I don't know. Am I sassy? Like,
well, I'm not saying you. I mean, just your overall thoughts on it. Yeah.
I was just thinking about it. Sassy black woman. Like, what is that? Like, is she kind of flamboyant?
The one that's kind of gonna talk back and talk shit.
Yeah, always come with the snapback or something. Like
that. Yeah. Clapping back with the quickness.
Listen, I know some, and I don't tend to gravitate to women like that. Mm-hmm. Just because I can't take all that mouth all the time. So sassy black women, I often say, I wonder how men, often they're stereotyped by black men, because a lot of black men will be like, oh, or you see black men that go to another race or go to have a white woman, and they will often say, if you ask them, why don't you want a black sister? Why don't you want a sister? What's going on? Oh, they got too much. They too sassy. They got some. No, they gonna call you on your stuff, on your mess.
Right.
And in my opinion, that's why, don't be a wimp. Be a man. You can have a sister with you that, if she's sassy, then, and you don't like sassy sisters, don't go for it. But there are a plethora of black beautiful women out here that are not necessarily like that. We're all different kinds of women. So, what is the song? I'm Every Woman. Shaka said it.
Mm-hmm. Shaka and Whitney. Yep.
We certainly can be. So the sassy black woman, I've seen them. All the mouth and just pow, 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 pow. Sometimes you got to step back from that, though.
I'll say this. I'm not a fan of all of the lip either. But I get it to some degree too as well, Trish, because I think in a lot of ways there's something behind that. Like that's a shield, if you will.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to peel back that layer, mm-hmm. I think you'll find that there's something there. Mm-hmm. And especially as we think about mental health. I mean, sometimes there's some trauma there.
True.
Sometimes there's it's a shield there to protect them from anybody hurting them again. So, so there's a lot that goes with that. So I don't.
Yeah.
As I'm older now, I don't necessarily just dismiss it. Oh man, she talked too much or she got too much lip or whatever like that. Where I probably wouldn't have 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a lot to it. And I do, I know women like that too. And I think that kind of, let me just speak for the women that I know. It appears to have dissipated over a period of time. At least for the ones that I know.
For the ones that you know. So in other words, you knew them as being sassy and mouthy or whatever, and now they're not so much.
Right.
What you're saying?
Yeah, because age and wisdom changes a lot.
It's a defense mechanism. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Trigger. You got everybody has triggers. Mm-hmm. So black women have had to, when you hear black women, I don't need no man. I may not need a man, but I want a man. And it's a choice. You know what I'm saying? So you could say all that, but that all came from you being hurt, the man didn't do right, whoever you had in your life didn't do right. Maybe now you're a single mother, taking care of all the kids, he ain't paying child support, whatever it is. You know what I mean? That is a defense mechanism but a lot of black women have triggers and defense mechanisms. Like you said, they can be broken down by the right person.
Right.
But that woman also has to give it a chance.
Yeah, you're right. You're so right. You have to give it a chance, because if not, what happens?
You'll be alone. I mean, and it's okay to be alone. I'm single.
That's fine.
I'm good with being single. I feel an empowerment in being single. So, you know, when it's my season, it's my season. But some women are just like, listen, you need to change that, sis. Let somebody in. Be a little vulnerable, you know.
There you go.
I have been hurt by love. I have, you know, I was married and I'm divorced now. Have been for a good, 7 years divorced?
It's been that long?
It went quick, Kyle. When I think about where I am, my place now, where I'm sitting, how long I've lived here, I was like, wow, it's been 7 years. So yeah. But you know, you either embrace it or you don't. You know, it's one of those things. Like, I've been hurt by love, and I've never given up on love. Never given up on love. Even if I was hurt, no matter how much I was hurt, I will not give up on love. So
now, what about the hypersexual Jezebel? I mean, you don't have to go far. You mentioned social media a little earlier. We don't have to. Neither one of us have to go far to find images, videos of us, as far as black women, you know, being portrayed, or them portraying themselves as these over-sexualized creatures, and it's a lot. And again, those tropes and those ideas didn't just start in 2023.
No.
You know, that really came back. You can trace that back to slavery.
Oh yeah.
So what is your take on the hypersexual Jezebel?
So I think that all black women, of course, we're human, we're female, we're empowered, or we can be sexual beings without being hypersexual. I think there's a respect aspect of it. When you get to social media, a lot of this generation does not, I won't even say this generation, because I've seen older women, actually older than me, doing some things on social media. I'm like, okay. Like, I'll be like, okay, grandma, or whatever. A lot of that is because it's just for likes. It's to get that video to go viral or whatever. So right now, in this age that we're in, going to social media has changed a lot of the dynamic of, like, they'll do, it's almost like they're desperate. Yeah. That I don't like. You know, I feel like as grown women, especially, if we feel like we want to be, you know, a more overt sexual being, then that's your business. That's your choice. And you're grown, so you can do what you want to do. But it also doesn't have, you also don't have to show everybody else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting. It's quite interesting. Now, I've been hearing a lot of this music that comes out. This is Generation Z. And they are, when I tell you, okay, we had Little Kim. In my era, it was Little Kim, and she was talking, you know, whatever. And even her raunchiness, I'll say, the girls out there now, they are way worse with it. I'm like, how are they getting away with saying this stuff? I heard, and they're very masculine with it. I'm seeing these young rapper girls come out now, female girls come out now, and they are very hard with the whole. There's one from New York that is, New York can be hard. New York rap can be hard, but that whole back in the day, she reminds me. I forget her. I'm not even going to say her name, even if I remember it. But she's out now, and she's quite popular, getting quite popular. And she's very masculine with it. And I'm like, what is that and why? And I'm in a social media group with a few friends from all over, DMV area, whatever. And I said, I'm so sick of the lack of femininity that's out there right now. It's like, where is it going? Like, we get your softness back. Like, problem. We don't have to go to that side. Listen, to each his own.
Yeah.
I don't know what her life path was or whatever, but maybe she grew up around all males. Maybe that can do it. Just like men that grow up around all females sometimes can tend to turn out as adults homosexual. It happens, but
yeah, I think I was gonna say, I think the like I said, it goes so far back. Even in how far back it goes, like even when you mentioned as far as like the young rappers and stuff like that, I'm okay with you expressing yourself, and if that's the way that you choose to express yourself, okay, that's fine. I just think, like, I hope that there's somebody explaining to them, like at 22, 23, 25, 26, like at some point you're going to be 40, you're going to be 50.
And that's not going to work for you.
No. And I mean, like, get your money. Hey, you know what I'm saying? I'm all for everybody getting paid.
Yeah.
But just understand that, you have a very, 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 just as an artist, you have a small shelf life, but you have an even smaller shelf life if your artistry is based around how you look and your graphic lyrics. Yeah. And that goes for men and women. I mean, unfortunately, men don't, it's a double standard. Men don't have the same things.
Right.
Because you could be 50 years old talking about how many chicks you bagged or whatever like that, and there'll still be people buying your records. But, you mentioned Foxy. I mean, you mentioned Kim. I look at Kim, I look at Foxy, like you said, they're from our era. They can come out and do songs and stuff like that and do shows and tour and stuff like that, but they're not making any new music. And I'm guessing that Kim and Foxy are probably in their 40s now,
Yeah.
And so, like, you have to be realistic for these young ladies who are in their 20s. And then not just that, but you're also, and again, I don't want to make it sound like I don't want that music to happen, because you can make what kind of music you want, but there's a generation of young women that you're promoting and selling this to.
That's right.
And you have to be careful about what it is that you are, and what you think that you're saying is not what they're listening to. And it's not what they're hearing, or maybe whatever message if there's a message involved at all. But I could get on that. I could stay on that soapbox all day.
What? Kyle, I have heard some recently.
Oh yeah. I heard a song the other day. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, word is like this. Oh, it's. I mean, and it's like this the whole. Now, if you give me that for 16 bars, that's one thing. But if you give me that for a whole song, I'm like, okay.
But you know what? They have a generation for it.
Yeah.
Like we, of course, are gonna turn that off, or like, but there is a generation for it, and it's like wild. I'm like, I want our women, our young girls, my nieces, nephews, all my nieces. We're talking about women. My nieces to stay feminine, like that's. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with LGBTQ. I'm not going there. I'm saying general, as a woman, as a female, there's a softness about us that is leaving or lacking in this new generation. And I just the femininity part is just, it's so beautiful to have. It's like, why wouldn't you want to have that? But
Hey, and speaking as a man, we like them soft.
yeah, I mean, come on.
We like them soft.
Just to attract a man, but it's just like, just be soft, be a
So
lady.
what about the angry black woman? Because we
Oh, we got
you and Trish, we hear about that all the time. I mean, like, the angry black, we see it a lot. Me and you and I both are on social media. You see it a lot on social media, the angry black woman. And a lot of times this, I don't necessarily even know if she's angry. It's just that maybe she's tired of being, looked over, passed over, or done wrong, and she's fed up.
yeah, yeah. And they just take it out on everybody. I knew a female in one of my employments, and she females will talk about a bitch face.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say I have a bitch face, or I have a version of the bitch face. But
is that like a mean face, mean mug?
Face where, even in your regular everyday stance, you just kind of have this face that looks like, don't come at me, don't approach,
don't fuck with me.
Back in the day, guys used to say, yeah, I wanted to talk to you,
but you look mean.
You just look like you. This guy in Harlem, I'll never forget. I was in Harlem sitting on the hood of a car, my friend's car. And my friend was there to see somebody or whatever. And so we're just hanging out, a summer night, beautiful night in Harlem. And I saw this guy, he was around. There was a few guys around, but this guy, he looked a couple of times, but he never came over. And me, I'm old school, so I'm not one of those females that's like gonna go at you necessarily. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking for, if you want to talk to me, I'm looking for you to come to me. And so later on, when I kind of got to know him, he said, yo, you were looking like, don't even come over here, with that face. So, and I don't feel that I have that, but I've been told that a couple of times. Mm-hmm. But anyway, the angry black female, I mean, there's a lot of them out here now. And I think, like I said, it kind of goes with the sassy one that has triggers where they're just kind of angry at the world. I was talking about somebody I worked with. She could walk down the hallway and you look like, I don't want to mess with her. She looked like she had a bad day or whatever. Kind of mad at the world. That can happen both on the male and female side, female and male side. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the angry black woman is definitely out there. You see them fighting all the time, or at the club and fighting, and everything is an issue. I can't stand it. Everything is an issue. It's almost like they feel like the world is out to get them, or something happened in their lives that makes them have that trigger where they feel like they need to defend themselves, like right away. Like, calm down, it'll be okay.
And maybe for some that get deemed angry black women, maybe it's just maybe they're constantly fighting. And I don't mean physically fighting, but they're constantly fighting against, like you said, being done over. They're being passed over for jobs, or they've been done over by these dudes, and they're just fed up. And basically we encounter them where they're at the point where they're like, nobody's going to walk over me ever again.
Yeah. They bring it out right away. I mean, they're like, they will cut you off in a minute. Like, as soon I'm just trying to say such and such. Get it out. It's like immediate. And
they're not going to give you a chance.
Yeah, that's kind of sad to me, though. I mean, because we don't have to be like that. Like, even like I said, it's a choice. There are triggers. I don't walk everybody's same life path, but there are triggers that happen that cause us to act a certain way in life. And I just think the angry black woman, if she just stepped back a little bit and just, navigate life a little easier.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the next question I have for you, you talked a little bit earlier about this generation. What advice would you give this next generation, since we're Gen X, or I don't know what generation we are?
We're X.
What advice would you give?
I don't know about you. I'm older than you, right?
You're older than me.
Whatever, Kyle. I just turned 56 in April. How old are you? Do you mind saying how old you are?
Oh, the world know I'm 50. 50.
Okay. So Generation X, we are. Generation Z is this generation.
I get them all confused. But if you were to give a young black woman, a 22-year-old black woman, a bit of advice, what would you tell her today?
I would tell her, number one, to give herself grace. Give herself grace. Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't think that with the social media pressures that they have, that we didn't have, that she needs to be something that she's not, that she needs to, be a certain way just for others. Those social media, those people, it's so sad when I hear these young people that have committed suicide based on somebody, classmates badgering them on social media. Oh, you should die. You should kill yourself. It was a 10-year-old girl. What was in Georgia or she hung herself. What does a 10-year-old girl know about hanging herself?
Right.
Let alone killing herself. So I would say give yourself grace. Try not to fall under peer pressure. Try not to try to be something that you're not. Be proud in marching to the beat of your own drum and, making your own path for yourself. Make the right choices because life is about choices. So make the right choices. Think about your choices before you make them. A lot of times we go through life or as young women or young girls and grow up and, only because we don't know better. You know what I mean? When you know, like, what was it Maya Angelou said, when you know better, you do better. That is a very true statement. You grow and mature. And a lot of times you have to be smacked by life before you get it. Making mistakes is not always a bad thing because it teaches you to the next time make the better choice. So yeah, make great choices, give yourself grace, march to the beat of your own drum, be yourself, live your true self.
Facts. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I think that's very important to do. Like you said, just being yourself and living in your own truth.
Yeah.
Because, especially when you turn on these phones and you click on these computers, sometimes you don't know who's who.
Yeah.
And sometimes people tend to be or try to be something that they're not. And it's far, far easier to be yourself.
Absolutely. I was just going to say, it's so much work to be somebody else. You don't feel that freedom. But there's a lot of people in the world, I have to say, that will never live their true selves or know what that means. And it's such a freedom in being your true self.
It truly is. It truly is. One more question before we get you out of here. What encourages you about the young black women of this generation coming up? Are there things that you see that encourage you, maybe remind you of what you were in your era when you were growing up, since you're seasoned? What encourages you about, young black women now?
That's a great question. I've never thought about that.
That's why I have you on the show, because I come up with great questions. I just thought of it like 2 minutes ago.
I guess if I had to look at the example of my nieces, for instance, they've grown up around strong women. Have they always made the right choices? No. But do I expect them to make every right choice? No, that's life. But they are, a lot of them tend to be go-getters. So they want to, have a good life. They want to work for it. They do what they need to do to go get it. And yeah, I would say that's encouraging. Those ones, it's not everybody. It depends on, I think, your lifestyle and where you grew up, and it makes a difference. So yeah, the ones that go for what they want are go-getters, go through, whether it's going through college and getting your degree, or I have 2 new nurses in the family.
Okay.
Yeah, just being proud that they are doing what they're setting their lives up in a lovely way.
It is. Well, Trish, it's always great having you on here. This has been fun, and episodes always go by fast. I mentioned you on social media. You got any social media? You don't have to. But.
You asked me last time, and I was like, Kyle, I ain't got a social. However, I started my own business. I started an online boutique.
Okay.
And it's called Zawadi Enterprises LLC. And so I have everything from health products to jewelry to clothing to special gifts, things like that. So it's a plethora of things. I'm setting up my website currently, but right now, social media, Facebook, Instagram as Zawadi LLC, enterprises.llc.
Okay, now spell Zawadi for those people like me who can't spell.
Z is a zebra, AWADI, and it is my Swahili name. That means the gift.
Okay. Do you know what Kyle is in Swahili?
I don't, but I can find out.
Find out for me. I need to know. I might become the.
I don't know.
The Zihili, the Zikizi podcast.
I don't know. I don't know if it would be Kyle in Swahili, but I can try to work.
I might be the 12 Zikizi in podcasts.
Listen, you never know. I did those 23andMe genetic whatever.
Okay.
And, my ancestry is from deep in Africa, and certain parts of Africa and Jamaica, some of it. It was quite interesting. So.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm from South Carolina, so I'm from Africa.
Listen,
that's where we came. We came from like the east side of Africa. Dropped us off right there in Charleston.
The east side.
The east side. The lower east side, like Manhattan.
Crazy.
So y'all make sure y'all check out. When do you think you'll have the website up?
Hopefully, definitely by the end of the year. I mean,
okay.
Maybe by the end of summer, but I'm working on it.
Okay. Well, you'll be back on before then.
Yeah.
You'll be back on before then, and we'll talk more about it. But you guys check her out, and make sure that you download, subscribe to the 12 Kyle podcast. The podcast drops every Thursday at midnight. We have bonus episodes that drops on Sundays at midnight. If you feel so inclined, hit us up on Cash App, $TWELVEKYLE. We also have a YouTube channel. Make sure you check us out on YouTube so that you can watch these videos as well. That's going to do it for us. So for my girl Trish, I am your boy 12 Kyle. This has been another edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. We'll catch you guys next time. 5G.